So what do you want to talk about there, sister?
Well, let me see how I was thinking I hadn't even really thought about
It's okay.
this concise history of my life.
Is it possible?
I am 50. I'm 50. Remember that I said I loved that character? I'm 50 years old. I'm 50. That Mary Martha, what was her name? Anyway, it was a very funny character. Well, hello, my sweet pea. Yes, here's my Casey. Yes, my almost 11-year-old. Yes. I say I have an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
All your children.
Yes, my very expensive 11-year-old.
Is that how old Casey is?
Well, in April, it'll be 9 years since I got her, and I thought she was about 2. Oh, did I start petting? Yes, Casey has not been feeling well.
It's okay, sweetie.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes, pretty girl. I love you so.
She's a good kid for you. You and Casey are so good together. I've always loved Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Marcia said. That's not good. We gotta hold on to her now. I wish I'd have known she was over there dropping something off. I'd had her bring me the dang 2-quart casserole. It is just the other end of the block.
Right.
Oh dear. But with some of this icy roads, it is a treacherous trip. Oh, you're gonna use that. Okay. Let's see. Let me think. Okay, so born August 1st, 1963, Toledo Hospital. To Judith Thompson, to Leigh Cattran, and Lawrence Alfred Cattran. My mom had just turned 22, and my dad was 24, turned 25 the next day. Anyway, young parents, had my older brother Michael, born March 1st, 1961. And then lived in Toledo my whole life till I was 18. But during that time, first I lived on Sherwood, just a block away from my grandmother, which is just off of River Road, just a couple houses in from River Road. And my grandma lived in the next block down on River Road, so we were very close to her. And and then we moved a block away from there to Central Grove, and then we moved in first grade. All those moves happened until first grade, over to 3747 Maple Way Drive, and so from first grade until I was 18, I lived there in the south end, and we were the white trash of the neighborhood. Which we were. So I always lived really close to my grandmother, who was a very important person in my life. She definitely helped to raise me with my mom, because my dad was never around. And my dad never even saw me till I was a year old, because he was working in Alaska or someplace, making money. Why can't I remember if it was Alaska or the other place he worked for a year? Anyway, then
What did you do then? Did you move somewhere? Go to school somewhere?
So I grew up my whole time in the south end of Toledo, and there's a lot there, but we're giving the concise overview of life and places. So then, when I was 18, I moved. I got my first job working in jobs. We'll conclude jobs too. Life, where I've lived, places, and jobs. Quick overview. Okay, got my first job when I was 16 besides babysitting at the downtown library, working in the stacks. My friend Artist worked there in one of the departments. I can't remember which one. History, I think. So I got a job in the stacks, which were the levels below. There are 2 levels, the entire length of the original library of stacks, one for periodicals and one for books. Old books are in the stacks. So I sat down there in the basement by this little desk with a phone, and someone would call on the phone, and they would tell me they were sending down a request. And in each of the departments, they had a dumbwaiter, and they put the piece of paper on the dumbwaiter. They sent it down, and I walked over, found the paper, went and found the periodical if I was on the periodical floor, or book if I was on the book floor, because there was one person on each floor, and took it back to the dumbwaiter, and they sent it up. And 2 other things about that are important is that I got this job working in the basement because I thought that I was too ugly to work out in public, and so it was a good place for me to be. And that's truly how I really felt. And because I was all by myself down there, and I just, in the dark, in some ways, sometimes it seemed, listened to this phone. But I saved all my money and bought a plane ticket to go to California to visit my aunt and uncle and my cousins to see if I wanted to move out there when I graduated. So the summer I was 17, between junior and senior year, I flew out there and saw Andy Gibb and had a fabulous time. Andy Gibb and what's his name? Barry White.
Barry White?
It was this big concert with all these different people, some type of, each one sang a few songs. And Kim and I didn't know who Barry White was. And he was just like, whoa! And this woman next to us is like rubbing herself and saying, sing it to me, Barry! And we're both like, we were so innocent.
It's cute though.
We wanted to see Andy Gibb. And we did see him very close up too. Anyway, that was a fun. But I paid for my own plane ticket to go out there, and then I moved out there after I turned 18. Just after I turned 18. On the first, within 2 weeks, I got in a car with my cousin and my cousin Kim, who's a year younger than me, and always been like a sister, and my aunt and my cousin Joey, who was 6 years old, and she drove the entire way across the country. Got to see the Grand Canyon and got to see several things, but I was also moving out there and unsure of what was going to happen in my life. An important thing that happened to me in high school that I didn't mention was I was very involved with the church, and I became what was called a youth group leader. Where I was part of the very first group in the Ohio Episcopal Church to become these youth group leaders, where we would go to a weekend events. What do we call them? Now I go to workshops and make art, but those were they were various events, called them different things. Anyway, but there would be a theme, and we would break off into small groups to have these small group discussions, and then we were the group leaders. So we were the cool kids at the church, where at Bowser High School I was anything but the cool kid. Far, far away from being a cool kid. Anyway, and I met some friends that I still have today, including my friend Silky Benner, who is now Silky Castellerin, and she just came to visit me a few weeks ago, and some other of my Facebook friends are friends from that time. It was very important to me because for my self-esteem and stuff, I became really depressed when I was in high school, and my mom and Richard became very concerned about me, so they took over the high school youth group at Trinity Church, because I changed a great deal very quickly, apparently.
How did you change?
Very depressed. Just stopped doing stuff, I guess. And my demeanor changed. Freshman year, so sophomore year, they took over the youth group, and it became a big part of my life, and they kind of rebooted it, and we had overnights and did things and laughed a lot. Did Halloween events and clowning. I did this clowning. There's pictures of me as a clown.
You a clown?
Yes. A green clown. And anyway, so there was some important stuff that happened there in the teenage years for sure. Those are some of the highlights that we could talk about more. And so then I went to California and got a job at the Broadway, which is a department store in the juniors, which was very strange. Me selling clothes from the girl who worked in the basement and feels she can't be in public is selling happening clothes. Didn't feel I fit the part.
You weren't a happening clothes kind of girl?
But in a department store, not in some happening. But then I did continue with a long, lucrative career in the mall, working at many, many different shops, including, and in 3 different states, including a store called The Lodge, where I was even a manager, which sold puppy clothes. Julius. And here, Bios. What's he doing, kittens? Oh, she is just so precious. She's very interested in what's going on. As is he.
Could I strap it on you, kiddo?
We've had a break in the birds. I've had 6 birds in the chimney.
Here, wait. Let's take a breather here.